So we've been in our clients' shoes already. We don't just like design. We come at it from a very like analytical, like money perspective a lot, but then we also do love design. So it's like kind of like a combination of the best of both worlds.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Hideaway Show. I'm joined today, fresh into 2025, by a dynamic duo who is absolutely crushing it in the hospitality interior design space. Coming to you live from Canada, I'm joined today by Heather and Erin with Pink Wall Designs. Heather, Erin, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. I'm so glad we were able to hop on and talk today. I know we had to shift things around with the holiday season coming about, and also we had our new second child here in October, so that kind of threw a wrench into things. But we were able to hop on today, so I'm really stoked to chat with you guys.
Us too.
So, how was the Christmas season for you guys? Was it everything plus some? Were you happy to see family, sick of seeing family? I know it's a mixed bag for some people.
A blend of both, I'd say, but both Heather and I separately got away right before the holidays, so that was really nice to recharge and relax prior to all the chaos and all of that.
And we picked up, like, you'd think things would have sort of died down. We expected that. And like, we had consultations and like new clients, like people were busy contacting us while we were away. So it was like a really nice, and so we're walking into the new year already with like a ton of projects on the go, which is nice.
That's awesome. A lot of times you come in the beginning of January and it's like, okay, let's get the wheel turning again. Let's get everything going. But if you have a little bit of momentum heading into 2025, that's fantastic. So, but anyways, holidays are here and gone, which I am very glad to get back in the swing of things myself. But enough about me. Heather, Erin, why don't you tell the listeners today a little bit more about yourself as well as what you guys do with Pink Wall Designs?
Okay, well, Pink Wall Designs is a hospitality interior design company specializing in virtual design. So, and virtual design in regards to like vacation homes, Airbnbs, Verbos, boutique hotels, restaurants, cafes, anything that a guest would be looking for in terms of like an experience that extends further from why they're just renting that spot or going to that spot. That's where we come in. So, on a macro scale globally, trends are moving towards most people are doing things online. So if they are going to do anything in person, it better be worth their time. So can they share it? Can they, take photos? How can they build their personal brand with your business? And so gone are the days of doing your Airbnb like a personal home. People want to leave their personal home and go somewhere cool and unique and have a fun experience. Same with restaurants. Like, food's got to be great, but then also, what is your atmosphere like? People are picking where they're going with their friends and family based on what a restaurant looks like. So that's where, we can help businesses, and we do market research. We do anything that we can to bring about those kinds of experiences for their client. So that's who Pink Wall Designs is. That's what we do. And yeah, I don't know, Erin, do you want to talk about a little bit more about like us, I guess?
Yeah, so Heather and I, we come from a background of being investors first, and then we joined forces together, kind of just doing our own projects. So we were, doing short-term rentals, flips, heavy in like the real estate space, and figured out like there's a need for investors to have their properties done for them. We also have a background within design and marketing, so it was like the perfect umbrella blend of all of those in one, and then we developed Pink Wall Designs.
So question I'm sure listeners are thinking, I'm thinking as well. So how did you two come together to I guess establish Pink Wall Designs? Were you guys just walking by at some like short-term rental conference? You're like, we should do design, or was it you guys had known each other forever, lifelong friends? How did you two come to meet and form Pink Wall Designs?
It was completely random. It was actually through my husband. So like I said, like we would do our own flips and whatnot. So he has like a well-known podcast and community, and Heather had reached out to him to do like some videos together. And then I guess when they got together, Dave was like, you gotta meet my wife. Like, you guys totally mesh well together, and kind of set that up. So her and I didn't know each other prior. And we just kind of said, let's go grab dinner, let's grab a drink. And then we just hit it off from there.
That's amazing. It always seems like it's very like random or right time, right place. It's very much a who you know game, and it's like, oh, connect person A with person B. You never know what comes of it. Very similar for my business partner, what we've done with the Hideaways and the Build Your Hideaway community. It was very much we were part of the same mastermind, aligned on our goals and vision. We're like, let's talk about it more and see where it leads. And it's always cool to hear other stories where it leads to the same thing. So
I almost find that that's like the better scenario. It's like if you've known someone your whole life, there's kind of too much there to like really focus on a business. It's almost better for like somebody to be like, I know someone that is like exactly aligned with you.
yep,
Like you should do something with them. And then it's like, oh, okay. Like all the building blocks are already there. So
Yeah.
that was our
yep.
case for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you talked a little bit about virtual design, and I'm sure some people that are listening understand what that is. I'm sure others are like, to me, not sure exactly what that means. What is virtual design, and why would it be so beneficial for a short-term rental host or hospitality investor?
So great question. Cause I feel like it's kind of changing too, right? Virtual design is like, it allows us to design your property without having to physically be there, which is kind of like a new era of interior design. We can go to properties, we have and we still will, but we can do so many more at a lower price point when we're doing it virtually. Also, a lot of people kind of especially if you're like a serial investor, if you do Airbnb full time, a lot of people kind of have their assembly crew on the ground that like they already like and know. So for us, it's really important that we make it as seamless as humanly possible. So our virtual process is we get our clients to do a Matterport. For people that don't know what that is, it's basically like a 3D scan of their property. Send us the link, and then that allows us to basically be inside of your property. So we can walk around the whole place, inside, outside. We can look at the ceiling. We can see the outlets. We can look at the windows, doors. We can see everything. From then, we make our own floor plans. And we start doing the space plan of like, where should your couch go? How big should it be? Blah, 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 all of that stuff. Then we do all of our sourcing. So we'll put the actual items in a mood board for you to see. And then we create an order list and design, assembly, and setup guide. So our clients are receiving a digital package that is their property to a T, exact dimensions, everything is in the exact same place. And then they have a map of like, oh, okay, I'm putting my couch here, my bed here. And then they go to the next page. It's, oh, it's this couch that goes here and it faces this way. Then they go to the next page and, oh, here's how I put it together. And then, oh, it should be like this far away from the wall or like that close. And then the next page is like, oh, and here's how I buy all the stuff with like one click ordering. So that is how, and then what that allows our client to do is they can give that off to literally anybody that can read. And that person needs no design background whatsoever. And they can read this package and be like, oh, okay, I know exactly how to put this together. And that's exactly how it's worked out. We've had installs happen where we've had little to no contact, even with the assembly team. And we see the final pictures and we're like, oh, they got everything perfect because they just followed our instructions. So they're that detailed where it doesn't matter that we haven't physically been there ourselves because we virtually kind of have been with the Matterport and all of our steps that we take on our end. So that allows us to also do a very, very quick turnaround. So we can kind of turn around like larger projects even in about 2 weeks time, give or take, depending on what the specifics are. And then we can do many. So we can have a lot of projects on the go. And then of course it's like a little bit of a lower price point because we don't have to physically go out there. So that's good for the investor. So it's kind of like, check boxes all around. And that seems to be really working for the climate in, 2025 and beyond.
That's incredible, because I think the one thing that some people run into is they understand interior design is so important. But a lot of times they'll go out and talk to designers and they're like, well, I can't spend $20,000 on design for this property. Because I think the prices fluctuate, right? Like some people are undercharging, some people it's like, I wouldn't pay anyone to go do that. But I think it's finding that sweet spot, but it's also doing it in a way that gives the investor control. So with that digital package that you guys provide them, are you guys just providing the links of what they need to order, or are you doing any of the ordering for them, or how does that work?
So we primarily work with Minoan, which allows us to, first of all, they benefit from like our discounts and whatnot, but then we also basically tee up everything so well that they just have to click one button and then they can order everything. So we aren't physically pressing order now. They're putting in their credit card information, they're clicking order, but we have put everything together. So it's like, one black couch in these dimensions, 3 comforters in these colors. So we've done all of that, like kind of annoying detailed stuff so that they can just open it up and be like, okay, everything's here, order.
Yeah, I think it makes it easier because I can speak from experience. My wife helped us design a place out in Kentucky, and it was very much, the detail orientation of finding the right color for the right comforter and the right couch and the right size and the right material. And I I very much appreciate what all of you do within the interior design space because I was doing it for about an hour and I'm like, I'm going back to the investor side because there is a lot going on here. So the value that you guys provide is absolutely tremendous. And the fact that you can do it virtually and be able to do it at scale, I think is a huge advantage for what you guys do.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's nice because it's funny. A lot of like first time investors, I don't think really realize that because they're like, oh, well, like, I got furniture for, my home and stuff, my personal home. But a lot of people don't realize that usually what happens in a personal home is like it's designed over time. So oftentimes, especially if it's your first home, if you're like young or whatever, maybe you might just start off with like the basics, couch, rug, bed, whatever. And then like, a month later, then you get some artwork, then you get this. It's more like at your leisure, whatever. But when you need to have everything there in 2 weeks for it to all go from 0 to 100, there's a lot of details involved. And so, yes, you're totally right there.
Yeah, it's very much one of those things. I was guilty of it with our first property in Texas. I think probably most investors on their first property, maybe even into their second, run into this where I bought my first property. I'm like, all right, great. It's a beach house. All I need to do is design it like all the other beach houses. I'm like, if they're doing well and I design it like them, it'll be great. And I'm like, if I can do it for 25% less of the price, we'll crush it. Spoiler alert, did not happen. It was a flop. I told my wife, who again helps with, design. I was like, I don't want to do wallpaper in this property. I don't want to do this that makes it stand out. I'm like, it's going to be too much. And she's like, okay. She's like, we'll just do what you want to do. And again, why would I not listen to the experts like you guys and be like, okay, you guys know what you're doing and what allows short-term rentals now to stand out that I now have realized, hard lesson to learn, but I learned the lesson, is it's the things that stand out. It's what grabs your attention when you're scrolling through Airbnb or Instagram or TikTok and it catches your eye and you're like, ooh, what is that? And then that guest wants to go experience something they've never experienced before. They don't want to go stay at a house that looks just like theirs at home, that has a couch just like they have at home. It's decorated just like they have at home. They want to go experience something they've never experienced before.
Yeah, you're definitely not the first. Like we've had so many clients trying to say, oh, we got to tone it down. But we think that part of our big market research that we do before any kind of designing, it's a fine line, right? Like you want to go on to AirDNA, you want to look at other properties to understand why they're performing well, what kind of amenities do they have. But then you got to like take it the next step and not just say, I want to make it look exactly like those properties. You want to make it look better. So you really need to distinguish between those two.
So when you get people that are on the fence, and let's say, for example, Erin's like, we need to do this crazy, wild wallpaper with this amazing neon sign. Have you ever had an investor be like, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. How do you get them from the position of like, I want to go back to what is safe and comfortable to being like, no, 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 this will work. It's going to generate more revenue for your property. Have you guys ran into that? And how do you overcome that objection when people are like, I don't want to do that. That seems too much for me.
We do.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, all the time. And it's kind of between like the seasoned investors get it. They're just, girls run with it. We trust you, all of that. I think it's just explaining to them that we're not designing for your personal preference as a person. You're not going to be the one visiting your property. We're designing for your guests. So what do they want to see? Do they want to see that bold, fun wallpaper, or is it a beach home and it's wanting to be more relaxing? So having those conversations and making them understand definitely goes a long way.
Sometimes we try to show them numbers too if we have them. Like we can be like, look at the difference. This wallpaper is like, sometimes we can get such cheap wallpaper too. Like it doesn't look cheap, but it's just like inexpensive because a lot of the times the more crazier, bolder ones are actually on clearance because they're not as popular, right? So it kind of works to our favor. So we're like, this wallpaper is not very much. It's going to cost $180 to do this wall, and then like the ROI on that. So if we can kind of break it down like that, it helps too. Kind of convincing and yelling at them. No, I'm kidding, but we do have to do a lot of it though.
I would say it's polite yelling, right? It's just a stern voice of like, listen to me. But you guys also, you have experience, you have, proofs of concept, you have like, use cases to be like, look at this property, it generates this amount of money. It's not like you guys are going around about it, going about it with a first property. So it's working out. You guys have the proof, which is, I think, essential for someone to be like, how can I trust and ensure this is going to work? So I think that is absolutely critical.
Yeah, that definitely helps too. And as we grow more, our portfolio grows for sure. So, and then
Right.
best stories, definitely.
Exactly. So for pink wall designs, there are tons of designers in the hospitality and short-term rental space. I shouldn't say tons, but there's an increasing number. And I think that number is going to continue to increase year over year, especially as boutique hotels continue to become more popular as well. What makes pink wall designs stand out in the STR or hospitality design space?
So we really like are the users kind of at the end of the day. As Erin mentioned, like we were both investors first. So we've been in our clients' shoes already. We don't just like design. We come at it from a very like analytical, like money perspective a lot, but then we also do love design. So it's like kind of like a combination of the best of both worlds. We also know really like where to research. We know, and we're entering into our third year now too, so we have a bit of experience behind us. We know what works, what to spend money on, what's a waste of money. We kind of have that know-how and that knowledge. And then also we do have a team with us. So we have the ability to get big homes designed and done in a very short period of time. We have the ability to have multiple projects on the go at once. We have the ability to design anywhere in the US and Canada. So I think a lot of those things, because we've seen some of the competition, pop up too. And then it's like they're just in one area because they haven't really figured out the virtual part yet. Or like, they're not taking any new clients because there's only like one or two of them and they're like, at their capacity. So I think but always being able to like let the market dictate what we need to do on our end, whether that's grow our team, change our services, do something else. We have that adaptability, and then mixed with the experience, research, and know-how. So I think, and we're also just not afraid to like take a bold chance, like to kind of go off of your original question of like what is pink wall designs, like the meaning and the reason why we named our business that is it means like don't be afraid to be the pink wall in a room, and that can go for both like somebody as a person metaphorically and also in the STR space. Don't be afraid to be that crazy one that people reference, and we're all on board for that, so we can give our clients that sort of co-sign, that push, that comfortability to be like, if they are on the fence, to be like, okay, I'll just go all in because like we're all in with them. So I think that confidence helps too.
Yeah, I absolutely love the concept of standing out, differentiating, being that pink wall. I love that metaphor and that concept, because I think that's what we're starting to realize within the hospitality space is if you try to blend in with everyone else, and it goes back to this concept as there's thousands of Airbnbs, there's thousands of places that you can go and stay. And if you look like everyone else, there's a decent chance, unless you've established a relationship with a customer or a guest that's staying with you, they're going to continue swiping by, right? Because it's the same front door, it's the same living room, it's the same everything. Versus if they're scrolling through and all the properties, let's say, are white walls, and they come across a property that has a pink wall. What's going to catch their eye? What's going to get them to stop and be like, what is that? It's that component right there. It's being able to stand out in a sea of Airbnbs, in a sea of places to stay, and get people to pause and be like, what is that? Capture that attention, even just for a split second, is so critical. I think that's why I love what you guys do. And now that I realize, I just thought Pink Wall Designs was a cool name, but the fact that there's a meaning behind it is even better. So I love that.
Thank you. And just to like add a little bit to that too, if you really like, we always train our clients to think of their property as a product because ultimately that's what it is, right? Like, and everyone will know this reference. You can say that you want a hamburger maybe, but or do you want a McDonald's burger? Those are different things. Like McDonald's, you're getting a specific type of burger. It's a specific taste. It's a specific experience, right? So, or like, do you want a coffee or do you want a Starbucks coffee? Like, it's just those differentiators. So, either of those places could have popped up and said, we're going to be another burger restaurant, just the same way as these personal home Airbnbs pop up. But then it's like, okay, cool, you're an option, but like, why am I going to go out of my way to drive to you to get a burger from you? Versus if, back in the day when McDonald's was like, we're going to be McDonald's burgers, everyone's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go out of my way now to go get McDonald's because it's that different experience. So kind of if you can like make those two connections, it does help, and it helps understand the reason behind our suggestions in our design and why it's so important to get professional design as well.
Yeah. And also for McDonald's, they have amazing brand and amazing marketing, which actually leads me to another point that I wanted to talk to you guys about was when you are designing, the importance of designing and laying out and building a property with marketing and brand in design. I'm assuming you guys have done this multiple times with properties, and I'm sure you see the value in it, but how is that important to investors and hosts when they are designing, making sure that you design with the mindset of how you want to market this property and also what the brand is of that property?
Yeah. So having like the conversation with the client first is everything. Like, are you going to have an Instagram for this property? Are you going to have a direct booking site? The plan here? Is it just going to go on Airbnb? And then once we know those things, then we can reverse engineer from there. Then we do our market research. Why are people traveling to this area? What are they looking for? And then we kind of just like, blend it all out from there. And it's seamless really with the brand, because if they're like a great example, we did a cabin in northern Michigan this summer called White Birch Cabin, which you guys should all search on Airbnb. It's a beautiful log cabin right on the lake. And they were very adamant. They're like, we're going to have social media. We're going to have like a nice logo and a sign. So we, embedded that throughout the property. We also did, so there was a sign. We also did something else with their logo. It's escaping me now. But then, pardon?
On the coffee mugs.
Oh, the coffee. That's what I was thinking of. We did a coffee bar to kind of encompass like the coziness of so every decision from that, it's like, okay, White Birch Cabin, cozy log cabin on the water. And then like, what is it going to look like from there? So cozy, warm, but also high end, a little bit of luxury. It wasn't going to be like just this, like, your grandma's old cabin. And so I hope that answers your question, but basically the conversation with the client and then reverse engineer from there.
The branding and marketing is evidently what takes it to the next level, right? Everybody's very active on social media now. It's just a way for more eyeballs to see your property rather than going on Airbnb and scrolling like the old ways. Right? Like people are getting direct bookings from their TikTok account or Instagram account. If you're not doing that, then you're leaving money on the table. We try to encourage all of our, clients to do this, but some people just still don't get it. They're old school, or they, think that just having a direct booking website is enough. But it's definitely the way for you guys to take it to the next level and just target guests on all platforms.
Yep. If we had another hour, we would go down this tangent of social media marketing and the importance of that, because right now inside I'm jumping up and down and clapping because we have been preaching that to people for so long, the importance of social media marketing and getting people capture their attention on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, where you have a bigger reach. People don't realize that it's not just a matter of listing it on Airbnb. So I think maybe a conversation for another day. Maybe we'll have you back on and we can talk about social media. But I think that's so important.
Hey guys, real quick, the only way we can continue to grow this show to bring on bigger and better guests is if you guys rate, review, and share the show. So if you could take 2 seconds and leave us a quick 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, it would mean the world to us. But even better than that, we'll be able to reach more real estate investors and help them build out their dreams through unique short-term rentals. Now back to the show.
Now, when you are designing a property, is it easier to have a brand when someone comes in and be like, okay, the name of the cabin is going to be this. This is going to be our brand. We're going to lean into this concept of coziness. Or is it about the same if someone comes in and be like, yeah, I have a cabin in Michigan and I need you guys to help me make it stand out?
I think it goes back to having the conversation of like, what are their wants, similar to what Heather said, while we encourage it. If they already have a name, we'll also throw out our suggestions too. Like Heather said, we have this team, we have our background, we're short-term rental hosts ourselves. So we will definitely throw out other ideas because there's, you know, everybody's kind of using those same names. Like, I don't know, the beach getaway, right? You want to be different and you want to stand out so people are remembering what your name is and what your brand is.
Everyone's chat GBTing it, right? They're like, name for cozy cabin in Michigan. And more than likely, they're going to get the same list of everyone else that's searching for the same thing. But I'm kidding because chat GPT has helped us come up with our cabin names, but it took us multiple prompts and diving into it deep to come up with just the right name. But
Joint effort.
yeah, it helps expedite the process of coming to a name because that's, at least for me, I struggle with just trying to come up with a name for our cabin. It took us so long. For example, our A-frame. It always just happens naturally. And I was sitting down talking to my wife. We were having a cup of coffee, and I was like, "What should we name our A-frame? Like, we could, incorporate A-frame into the name. We could incorporate. There's some trees in the back, so we could do something about the trees." And she as we were talking, our dog was jumping up and pawing her as we were eating breakfast. She's like, "Cooper, sit down." She goes, "What are Cooper Pines?" Which is our dog's name. And I'm like, "Wait, are you serious?" And she's like, "I'm dead serious." I was like, I actually really like that name. So that's actually the name we went with, and it flows very well, but it incorporates where the cabin is. And when people ask us, they're always like, is the cabin pet friendly? Can we bring our dog? And I'm like, I feel like it would be a disservice to me to say no to you because we named our cabin after our dog. So we are in fact pet friendly. But a lot of times, very much like how you guys came about for Pinkwall Designs, it just happens naturally. It happens off the cuff, which I think is amazing and how it should be. So.
And that's a great story, like, even sharing that with people, like, they'll appreciate and love that, and there's a viral video right there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I hope you have that description somewhere on your booking site or website.
Yeah, we
Or
definitely
that conversation or whatever that story.
I don't know. That's actually a good point. We should incorporate the conversation into either our guidebook or our listing or somewhere. I've just listed within our book within our cabin that, meet our family and meet Cooper, who is the dog that inspired the name of this cabin. And it was one of those things where we intend to keep the cabin for years to come. So it's something that, we can remember him with. See, he is getting older, but we at least got another 6 years, right? Let's not get sappy. Let's not get sad. Let's keep moving forward here. But long story short, it's how we came up with the name, which is fun. I think there's power in having a brand, having a name, and being able to market your property the right way, and also having an incredible interior design team that's going to bring that vision to life. So,
and quickly add a little bit to that. It also gets the attention of brands. So,
yes,
and that's a whole other either revenue stream or booking option for you or marketing stream. Like, those are things that people haven't really dove into just yet. I think we're going to see a lot of that moving forward, because we always tell our clients to think about other uses. Like, everyone's very like Airbnb, it's like vacationing people. Well, yes, that's going to be the majority of your bookings, but people also need to take photo shoots. People need to record podcasts. People need to film sets, need to rent places. Like, we have one of our properties, the Rose House, Forever 21 is doing a campaign there. So that was and they're going to, and no one's sleeping in any beds. It's going to obviously be cleaned and stuff, but that's just, they're going to be in for a couple hours and out. And it's you can still charge whatever rate you want. Right. You're the owner, you set the price. So think about those other ways of monetizing your Airbnb, but it can't happen without the branding and everything behind. So that's just a little something.
Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit more, because I think people are gonna, light bulbs are probably going off in people's heads. I had just heard of this concept probably a month or two ago, and actually on our podcast, I was interviewing someone, and they mentioned this concept of brands were reaching out to them and saying, "Hey, can we come utilize your property for a photo shoot or whatever it may be?" How, and I'm sure investors are thinking this, how does that happen? Is it these brands come across you and reach out to you, or should hosts be reaching out to these brands and being like, hey, we have this amazing property that's gorgeous, the design's wonderful, we would love to partner with you? How have you guys seen that work?
I'd say it's like a bit of everything. So, like influencers, brands, and PR companies are like the main kind of three people to be reaching out to. First and foremost, though, your property has to be crushing it. Like it has to look amazing. It has to be like all the things that we talked about, right? Don't even bother. If it looks like a personal home, don't bother. If it's like designed and intentional and all of that, then so just the same way as like guests are looking for immersive experiences, brands are adjusting how they're advertising also to the more immersive experience because that's what guests want, buyers, clients, right? Whatever you want to call them, customers. People want that type of experience. So brands are having to pivot and give them that as well. So it's like we're kind of all on the same team here. So let's say you're A-frame, for example. Actually, I'm going to use the Rose House because I know it better. It's the target market is bachelorette groups. It's in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. There's like wine. It's like a wine country. So a lot of women are going there, like women's getaways and that type of thing. There's like some pink. There's a glam room. It's that sort of vibe. So first and foremost, you get the design, you get the pictures up, whatever. Then you can reach out to influencers to say, hey, do you want to come stay here? Also, in that same breath, say, what brands do you have in your network that, this might work for? Do you have like maybe a wine company that you work with? Like, because that's perfect. It goes hand in hand with like where this house is located, who would go there, and how it's decorated. So you can ask them. Then reach out to PR companies, search PR companies who deal with wineries. And then, say, hey, we're offering. And if you don't really if you just like want them to come book your property, maybe offer them first like a tour or offer them a freebie to get kind of in their network. And then they might book you for like future, because you got to bring some sort of like value to them first, right? And then also like in the Rose House's case, we just know all the wineries that are there's 80 wineries within like 10 minutes of this property, and we know what the big ones are, and we just approached the big ones and said, hey, like we have this property, goes perfectly. And there was one winery in particular that it was like literal, people almost think it's like affiliated with one another, like the synergy is so there that it was like a no-brainer for them. So they're like, yeah, no problem. So they actually provide the house with wine, which so when the guests check in, they get a complimentary bottle of wine for their stay. So that enhances your guest experience, that enhances their brand recognition, and enhances yours. So it's a win-win for everybody. So it's just a matter of like either intentionally targeting like a group, or if you're going to kind of base it more off the location, what is that? Just define all of that and then start doing your reach outs to people, and then see what comes of it. And another way, like another sort of secret, I guess, that we can tell the audience here is, I think investors are very numbers, and they're very, okay, AirDNA and these and that. And like, they look at that, but because like you got to do more social research, because when it comes to design and kind of more in the marketing field and more branding, it's not so much numbers, it's more on the social side. So go on TikTok and type in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada, for example, or like Kentucky, wherever and then you'll start to get videos. You're going to get a girl that says, come with me to do all the fun things in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Boom, you click that. What are these people doing? Why are people going here? You're going to get so much information just from average, like regular people traveling to these places. And you're going to get ideas. People will say, come with me to do like this micro wedding at this place. Oh, people do micro weddings here now. Maybe we can get like, then you get your ideas, and then that's how you do your social research. So investors, I think for this year, need to do their numbers research. Yes, do their AirDNAs and all that stuff, their comps, but they need to add social research into what they are, how they are purchasing boutique hotels and Airbnbs.
Yeah, I think that's so critical, especially as we're hearing more and more people saying, whether it be on Facebook groups or whatever, wherever it may be, people are coming out and saying, my Airbnb is not performing. Why? Airbnb, the sky is falling, Airbnb bust, things aren't working out. Why? And a lot of times it's, you look at the properties like, okay, well, it's pretty obvious. Yeah, this thing is very dated. You very much bought this property during COVID, did the basic thing, threw the couch in, threw some canvas on the wall, and it was crushing it. And now it's not, right? But it's continuing to evolve. And that's where you're going to start to see that separation where, the top 5 to 10% are going to rise to the top. And these are the people that are reaching out and doing the brand partnerships. They're the ones working with Pink Wall Designs for interior design. They're the ones that are doing social media marketing. I think that's so critical. And it's one of those things with boutique hotels and Airbnbs and this concept of hospitality is you have to continue to evolve. Long gone are the days where it's just people are going to come and book and you're going to make $100,000 per year in a cabin that looks like every other cabin. Those days I think are far behind us. Maybe there's still some markets where maybe that works, but for the most part, you have to stand out and differentiate and you have to continue evolving. And I think, just like you said, I love that for 2025 is work on those brand partnerships within your market where your property's at. We've seen that work for us where we partner with a big soft drink company in the Kentucky area, Ale 8. I'm from Iowa. I'd never heard of Ale 8 before, but you talk to anyone in the Kentucky area, people love it. So brand partnerships are huge. I think they can pay dividends for investors in their properties for many years to come.
Yeah. And good on you for doing that. It's a great idea. And it's great for the brand. So it's like, it's not like it's just you, the investor, who are like wanting these opportunities. The brand wants to find you too. So it's going to be a great year for that type of collaboration.
Yep. And if you can provide that win-win for them, right, where it benefits you and it benefits them, it absolutely crushes. I want to make sure people aren't going out there and being like, well, help me. Heather, Erin, and Jordan on the Hideaway Show said I need to develop brand partnership. So which company is going to give me the bottle of wine? If you think of it from that perspective, it's not going to work out. It has to be a win-win, a give and take amongst these companies where it's a relationship, right? It's a partnership. It's not a one-way street where they're just giving you wine for free. So, what's the benefit for them?
Yeah.
So just making sure that you look at it from that perspective of it needs to benefit both parties involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So question for you guys, I should probably ask this at the beginning. How many properties, if you guys know the number, have you guys designed to date?
So I think we were actually off because we did recently try to calculate and we had come up, we knew we were over 50, but then I actually haven't even talked to Erin about this. I recounted kind of, and we might be closer to like 75. So I think a safe mark is between 50 and 75, probably.
That's where I would put us at too. Just like finishing up we're almost coming into our 3rd year now.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask is how many years it had been. So with, 2025.
Our 3rd year.
Yeah. So with 2025 starting, because everyone's going to have their resolutions, everyone has their goals. What are your guys' goals and aspirations for Pink Wall Designs for 2025? Are you going to 75? Are you going to bring it up to like 200? Or are you going to bring it up to, you're going to double it? What's the goal there?
Well, we just made our mood board. So our vision board. Yeah. So this is all like fresh. And it's funny, we talked about that too. We said, should we make a number of project goal? But because we have a few new services, it didn't make the most sense to put like a number of how many we wanted to do. We more so made it like monetary. We just wanted to like bring in X amount of dollars because we'll have a few different services and products and streams coming in.
Yeah, I think go ahead, Erin.
And
go ahead.
We quote our projects too. Like there's different values, right? Because it's based on multiple different factors. How big is your property? How, how many amenity focused rooms are we doing? So there's a lot of like different figures that we do with clients as well.
Which I think is smart because I think investors run into the same issue. And I imagine any business would run into this is if you just try to make it a numbers game where you're like, all right, Joe, we're going to go from 75 to 150 and 150 to 300. There becomes a point where it's not sustainable or you guys have to grow the team even more to where it becomes challenging. So I love the fact that you guys aren't looking at from like a number of properties designed, but more so from a perspective of monetary as well as additional services. You're probably identified pain points or things that you can solve for the market and for your clients, which I think is absolutely wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So of those properties, I'm curious, do you have, and you don't have to name it if you don't want to name favorites, but of those properties, what was one of your favorite projects that you've done to date? They're like, Jordan, we're not answering this question. I'm not picking favorites.
Um,
What was one in the top 10, I will say? Top 10.
we have like different. I feel like there's difference for like different reasons. Like one that definitely stands out was our client. He was open to going all out, right? Like he had very amenity focused rooms, multiple zones. It was a bigger project in Oklahoma. So we already had like a great floor plan to be able to execute. So we did like a karaoke room, we did a yoga retreat room, um, the kids room, we did like 2 big bunk beds, and then I had this huge loft that we had to remove the little ladder because it's like safety hazard, but we made it into a tree house. So it was still that experience. So that's always like our go-to favorite, I would think. But Heather, do you have a different one in mind?
No, I was definitely thinking of that one too. We've done a couple of like podcast studios as well, which are obviously much
nice.
smaller, but like that's always fun too because it's kind of like, people have their branding and whatnot that we should kind of follow, but I like doing them actually because it's a smaller space, so you have to make a bigger impact in like a smaller area, so it's like a bit more of a challenge. Um, I'm just trying to think of like if there's any really like we have a couple that we designed in like the last quarter of last year that we haven't yet seen the photos of, so those will be good. Oh, I know which one that I like as well. We did actually a 2-bedroom condo in Nashville, and those clients as well were just like whatever you guys want to do, and we went pretty like out there as well. It's really, and there's competition in Nashville, as most people know.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
we had to compete very well, and it was a smaller condo, so we didn't have unlimited like games rooms and whatever. So that one was really fun. It's called the Yeehaw Hangout,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, it's right, the location's great, so search that one on Airbnb and you'll find it. But that one was really fun. We still managed to fit in some games, a really like fun seating area, like a feature wall in a very small space. So that one I'm pretty proud of because we did a lot with a little.
That's cool. One thing you guys said was this concept of theme rooms. Do you guys try to incorporate theme rooms within a decent amount of properties, or does it depend on the property and the market and the type of, I guess, guest that investor is trying to attract?
I think so. First, let's define theme because I think a lot of people
Good
hear
point.
theme and they're like Mickey Mouse, Star Wars. Like, so let's put that over there. There's a time and a place for that. But when we say theme, we more so mean like, is it is it a property in wine country? Then like, we're not gonna have a bottle of wine like on the door, right? It's like, how else can we theme, this property? So yes, we definitely take that into consideration for sure. So like the Tulsa, Oklahoma property that Erin was just talking about, um, I I had never been to Oklahoma personally, but I think a lot of people kind of in that like area know about the Center of the Universe attraction in downtown Tulsa. It's like this place where you go in the city and you stand in this circle, and apparently you're able to you're in the center of the universe because I think you're probably in the close to the center of the United States. I think that's where it came from. And then you can yell and you hear your voice echo. I don't know. There's like tons, if you search it on Google, or there's a ton of Reddit threads on it. Anyway, we totally themed the karaoke room off of that attraction because people are going there to go see that, or if they're in Tulsa, they're definitely stopping by there. So the karaoke room kind of had like a center of the universe theme. We didn't like write center of the universe, but like it has that feel. It's like a very deep blue. There's like some disco stars and moons that hang from the ceiling. Like the microphone is like you hearing your voice. So we do definitely take elements um of like, who you're attracting, where your property is, and create themed rooms. But I guess they're just more of like a subtle nod versus like, here's a picture of Mickey Mouse. You know what I mean?
And
Right.
and any opportunity to do a theme room, I think everyone should be doing those. Your property's highlighting to a certain guest avatar anyways, so why not make a specific room for them specifically? So then when they go to your property, they have that experience. It is that step above and will make an impact for them.
Yeah. That's theme rooms, I think, are very if you can incorporate it into the market you're in as well as your property, I think that's where it benefits. That's one thing we always talk about is, you don't want to come put a Mickey Mouse room in a cabin in Kentucky. A guest is going to walk in and be like, cool, but why Mickey Mouse? Like, what's the point? Versus if in Kentucky, for example, you did a bourbon room. Bourbon is a big thing within Kentucky. So that would make sense. So I think those theme rooms can allow properties to stand out, but it's definitely one of those, you don't want to put a square peg into a round hole to where it's like Mickey Mouse. Great. My kids will love it, but I don't know why Mickey Mouse. Like, I don't think there's as much of an attraction to go to a property that has a Mickey Mouse room in the middle of Kentucky. Maybe there is, maybe I'm wrong with that, but I'm not going to be the first one to test it out. I will let someone else do that.
Yeah.
So,
Good thoughts.
but, so one thing I did want to talk about before I get to our final two questions for you guys, we had talked previous to this podcast that you guys had a fun new idea that would be launching in, I think, January 2025. I don't want to bring it up, so I'll let you guys talk about it a little bit more. What's the new idea that you guys have coming for your clients in January 2025?
So Pinkwell Designs has officially started a YouTube channel, and we are going to be kind of designing on the fly people's existing Airbnbs on our channel. So we're not going to like tear them apart. We're not going to be mean, but people will have the opportunity to drop their listing link at our website. It's not quite set up yet, but it will be in 2 weeks time. So then go to our website, drop their link. We'll see it, and then we will record ourselves giving them advice and design ideas. We have a service called B&B Boost, which is for people who have existing Airbnbs that they find it's not really competing well, or it's not performing as well as it can be. And we kind of take their existing furniture, we redo their space plan, we boost up their listing in ways that make sense. And that could mean we do the entire property, or that could mean we focus on like 1 or 2 specific rooms, add amenities, that sort of thing. So we're basically going to be doing that like live in our videos. So we're going to say like, switch out this couch, do this, add this there. And so we're hoping that it's going to really provide a lot of value, of course, to the person that owns the Airbnb, but also to other people, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people watching that's like, oh, my place kind of looks similar to that. Oh, I didn't think about that. Maybe I'll add this. So we're really wanting to help people out, and nobody is doing that. We searched high and low, and no one's doing that yet. So hopefully we can kind of own that part of the space on YouTube and blow up.
Yeah, I think that'll be fantastic. I think that'll be exciting. And honestly, I think provides a ton of value to hosts that are like, I just need an opinion. I need someone to take a look at this and help me out. So you're thinking the concept is someone will submit their link. You guys will, because you guys are going to blow up and you're going to be famous, you're going to have 500 people that are going to be asking you, hey, design, look at our place. And you're going to pick one, and then you're going to basically, record and go through like, okay, here's the property and here's what I would do differently and here's how I would design it. Is that essentially the concept?
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to be doing it like, multiple times per month. So,
Awesome.
there'll be a lot of opportunities in a year to get your listing looked at. So yeah, that's exactly it.
Awesome. And will you guys have that link where we can put it in the show notes, or is that still to come?
Still to come, but hopefully
Okay.
so the first video should be up by the end of January. So as soon as we have it up, we will email it over to you, and maybe you can add it in. I don't know if that's possible.
Yes. Yeah, we can definitely add it into the show notes at a later point. And we can also email it out to our following as well, which would be great. And I'm sure people would be very excited for that, just because it's you guys are doing something in the interior design space that we preach to all investors within the hospitality space, is like, do something that stands out. It differentiates, makes you different, and makes you unique. And you guys are doing that with the YouTube channel, which is absolutely fabulous. I think it's going to crush it.
Thank you. We are hoping for the same.
Just don't forget about the Hideaways crew when you guys climbed to fame and have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Okay.
No, we gotta come and visit you guys.
Yeah, we'd love to have you guys out in Kentucky. I'm in Iowa, but I always have to find an excuse to come out to Kentucky, where my business partner is in Louisville. So we'd love to have you guys out sometime, check out the properties, and just connect. That'd be fun.
That'd be awesome.
So perfect. Well, I have 2 final questions for you guys, and this one's going to be, I guess, a little bit different since there's 2 of you on here. So I'll ask the question to each of you. So Erin, let's start with you. The
Okay.
first question: what is your favorite book that has had a huge impact on your life or career? I'm hoping you're a book reader. I know some people aren't, but I'm hoping you are.
I'm not like a huge book reader, but
Okay.
feel like since like starting my own business and being like in the entrepreneurial space, like I definitely have been open to reading more books. Um, I'm gonna save the one that like I feel like everybody always says the one and be a little bit different. Probably the book You Are a Badass because I feel like it's just like the power of manifesting, believing in yourself, like getting rid of those limiting beliefs. So that would be a pivotal book for me. Just kind of like growing into who I am now. That would be mine.
Love that. I don't know if anyone's maybe one person's mentioned that on here before. I have read that book. I read it a while back and I absolutely loved it. So I love that you mentioned that.
Nice.
So Heather, what about you? What is what's a favorite book that has had a huge impact on your life or career?
This is probably so many people's answers, but for me, it's Release the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. And it's like the exact same thing. Like I read that when I was like 17 or 18, maybe even 16, actually. I was really young when I first read it. And I was like, you mean to tell me that if I just write down the things that I, want to focus on and like that was just really like a turning point where I was like, wow, I really do control my own thoughts and I control what shows up in my life. Like I felt so empowered because I kind of didn't really know that before. So, and actually there's an exercise in there that it helped me so much. It was like, write down your in order, like the most important things to you. Is it like love, freedom, security, those kinds of things? And I must have did it like 8 different times and just always like my freedom ended up being like top one, which is why I knew I needed to run my own business and, do all that. So that was like a really pivotal book. And I've read it again since, and it's just you always pick up good nuggets.
I was gonna say, once you have a book that just hooks you in, it's one of those where it's like you come back and read it again, and you're like, how did I not pick up on that the first time? The second time. So that's awesome. I don't know if anyone said that one, so that's a first.
Oh, okay.
That's
Good
awesome.
one.
But all right, Erin, second question. What is one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when you were 20?
Um, well, growing up, I was like pretty independent. So I'm gonna go with just being open to like allowing help into your life, partnering with people that are aligned with you, investing in like a mentor. Those are all things that obviously I appreciate now, and having Heather as my business partner because there is no way that I could be doing what I'm doing now without her. So that's probably a big one for me.
Love that answer. All right, Heather. Now you have to top that one because that's an amazing answer right out the gate. So what's one thing that you wish you knew, or what's one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when you were 20?
So this is why Erin and I are business partners and like meant to be with each other in life. Cause I read this question prior to hearing her answer, and the same answer came to myself. We kind of grew up like pretty similarly. And I kind of had it in my head where I'm like, it's so hard for me to work with people. I can't like I felt I had to do everything by myself. And I just was not around the right people. And again, since like meeting Erin and starting this business with her, it definitely would not be where it is, without her. And she's like really my rock in business and in a whole bunch of other things. We're alike in very many ways, but we do have some key differences that I think make each other successful. And you guys are totally gonna think that I'm just saying this, but I truly meant it, and I was thinking about it before. But yeah, I think just like, but I'm kind of glad that I had that belief because then I wouldn't have waited to find Erin. I would have maybe gone into business with somebody else earlier. So I'm glad that it took me like a while to learn that. But I would tell my 20-year-old self, like, relax. It's okay to like accept help, work with other people and that sort of thing. You don't have to do everything by yourself.
Yeah, I love that answer, and I can relate to that because that is very similar to the relationship I have with my business partner, Mike. It was one of those things where everyone like they'll leave a room and they'll be like, "It's crazy how you guys have only known each other for this long, yet you're almost exactly alike, but think differently in certain areas. Like where it's meant to be, you think differently, you do, but 90% of the time, you guys are just aligned. You guys, your energy just like reflects off each other. It's fabulous. So I think you
That's
guys are very
us.
similar to what we are. And once you have that, because I know so many people have failed partnerships, failed relationships in business to where it's once you find that it's far and few between. And once you have it, roll with it and keep pushing forward. So I love that for you guys.
We're stuck together, Erin.
Thank you.
Whether
People
you like,
sisters all the time, but
Yeah.
we are the perfect blend of, I don't know, so similar, but then we obviously have like contrasting, um, you know, differences too that blend together really nicely.
yep, which I think is very important, because if you're alike in every single aspect, then I don't think it works as well, to where it's like, be similar in the majority of the areas, but in the certain areas where it's beneficial to think differently, it will benefit the relationship long term. So I think you
Like-
guys have a good mix of that, and you are very similar to Mike and I, which I think would be perfect when you guys come out and we meet up in Kentucky, which would be fun.
Yeah.
So, or maybe I keep saying we'll come to Kentucky. How rude of me. Maybe we'll go to Canada, because I
No,
think I've only been to Canada
I-
once.
We'll
So
come to Kentucky.
that'll be fun. So perfect. Well, I really appreciate you guys both coming on the show today. So for the listeners today, what would be the best way that they could get in touch with you guys? Is there email, social media? How's the best way they can get in touch with you?
Probably our social media. We're very active on Instagram. So we're at Pinkwell Designs. And then from there you can find, our websites, our emails. And we also have like TikTok, Pinterest, all that's good stuff for you guys to look at. And then YouTube soon.
Yes, and YouTube, yeah. And YouTube, you'll be able to just search Pinkwell Designs and we will also come up. So really, yeah, and our email is all over the place. So definitely you're welcome to email us. And then if for some reason you can't find it, a DM will get you a response too.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I will include all of that within the show notes. And then once we have that link to submit listings for the YouTube channel, we will add that as well.
Thank you.
So, absolutely. Well, wonderful. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Hideaway Show. They are Heather and Erin with Pinkwell Designs. I'm Jordan Holmes. As always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.